Sorry, I swear I thought I hit. Man, I'm batting 1,000 today. I swear I thought I hit mic off. There, we are. Hopefully that sounds a lot better. We fiddled around, like we said. We had a bunch of technical issues earlier with things crashing. Our usual template that we use for our recording kind of crashed on us, and we had a lot of problems.
Yeah, we were actually recording a Creator Spotlight episode.
Yep.
And GarageBand decided to say, forget you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah. Said, peace out. Peace out. So we're going to jump back through our hullabaloo again. So we apologize if this is stuff that we've already rehashed, but it is for our audio listeners as well because we do the stream and the audio for our podcast at the same time. So 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 79 of the Rocket Punch Cast, minus the technical glitches. I'm your host, Cameron Kearns, along with my partner in crime, Will Turkhurst. Will, what's going on, man?
I'm vertical. We are getting over the technical issues, so huzzah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Big thanks to Credible Threat for keeping us honest and keeping everything square. It's always appreciated.
It's a big, big help.
Yes. Beyond that, if I sneeze during the episode, I apologize. Sniffles, whatevs. Happened literally in the 20-30 minutes before all this started. I just started getting hit with that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said earlier, there comes a time in every boy's life when he becomes a man.
Yeah,
no. The changes that the body goes through.
Yeah, again, let's see this beard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's proof enough at this point.
No, that's good. I mean, allergy season, weather's changing, a lot of crap's going on. So I think last week I was in a Sudafed stupor. Like I was taking Sudafed like every other day just because it was cold then was hot, and it was cold then was hot, and it was just getting on my nerves and on my sinuses apparently.
Man, I really just want Nate to just fall off, or at least get down to 50, so none of this stuff's in the air. One of the two.
One day it'll happen. Sometime soon, I'm sure. But
yeah.
Let's go ahead and jump into what we always like to jump into. We're gonna go through our table talk. So we don't really have anything overlapping per se, Will. But what's been going on with you this week?
Well, Asylum Comics, their game night every Friday night. Okay. That was a thing. Chris and Trish from Credible Threat brought over a boatload of screens. Gaming systems, gaming PC. Chris reminded me how bad I am at Nidhogg. But this is Nidhogg 2, Nidhoggier.
Okay. Please tell me that's what it's called.
No,
awesome.
no.
Okay, that's not what it's called. That would have been
I wish
wonderful.
it was Nidhoggier, but no, it's not. I like the stage variety. I love that they're random weapons when you spawn in, so that's great.
Okay,
it's new. Not just the typical rapier.
Yeah, that's very new. Okay, let's try that.
Yeah, no, I'm still hot trash at that game, which is why I demanded to play that game multiple times because I need to get better.
Gotta get good.
And the only way I'm gonna get the get good pants on is
especially for Extra Life. When we get to that, you definitely have to be ready for that.
Yeah, because we're gonna do that at 4 or 5 in the morning. Probably when we're half drunk and just sitting there
devoid of all reason.
Nidhogg for 4 hours.
Well, that's cool. No, I haven't played Nidhogg 2, but I did have a lot of fun, surprisingly, with the first one. So based on what you said, I'm hoping that Nidhogg 2 is even better than the first one.
I did purchase it.
Okay.
So we will play the game.
You buy everything, Will. I don't know.
No, I don't. I didn't buy Cuphead.
Ooh, yeah. I'll talk about that here in a minute. Yeah. What else have you been playing?
Let's see. We have Nintendo Switches, and Stardew Valley finally came out on it. So, like every other good Switch owner, I went and bought it, and that's the third platform I've bought this game on now. God help me.
Really? What else do you have it on?
Steam and PS4.
Jesus, man, that Eric Barone is yes, give me the money. Woo!
To be fair, let's see. I gave $60 to what was this game again? No Man's Sky.
Okay.
If you look at it, 20 and then 30, I've given $50 to Eric Barone. And I've gotten the game on 3 different platforms plus the soundtrack.
Okay, fair enough. You still didn't spend as much as you did on No Man's Sky, so I understand that. No, how is Stardew Valley on the Switch?
It's great. I have not had anybody do the multiplayer with me yet. Chris, Trish, and I are gonna have to do that at some point. So that's an excuse for us to hang out and continue on the hashtag Free Chris movement.
Hashtag Free Chris.
Yes, we're big supporters of that here at Rocket Punch, and just need to continue pushing that.
Of course.
But no, in all honesty, beyond that, I really. So I almost fell asleep playing this game when I got home Friday night.
Really?
I'm in the chair in the living room just playing this game, and I realize I'm starting to nod off, and it's like 2 a.m.
With the power of the Switch, all you have to do is hit that home button, go to sleep mode, boom, there you go. Now you can go to sleep along with the game.
No, I got up, stumbled my way back to my room because I'm like half asleep at this point. Put the Switch in its dock, called my dog, and made her get on her dog bed, and I went to bed.
Yeah, fair enough. No, this is the only version that has multiplayer for right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Eventually, it'll be on the other platforms, but let's be real. Multiplayer on the Switch just sounds a lot better.
Take it on the go.
Yeah.
Now,
we could all be on the plane.
Now, if it's crossplay, that would have been awesome. If you went to somebody who had it on PC and you could do multiplayer on your Switch, that would have been great.
There's no one standing in front of that like with Sony.
Except Sony. I would assume. I have no idea, but that would be something that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, the guys behind Chucklefish Games and Eric Brown, I'm sure they would be more than happy to enable that to get even more sales of the game.
Even more monies. Yeah, of course they would.
Yeah, I don't know how he operates with all the money he's getting on this.
Oh, Chucklefish is handling that for him. Don't worry. He just checks his bank account every day. He's like, okay, well, he's got a couple $1 million to do.
Yeah, what's he going to make next?
Exactly. Now, a lot of people are asking that. Now, since you did bring it up earlier, I will bring it up now. I did play Cuphead. For people tuning in via Twitch, you can check out that video of me playing Cuphead over at youtube.com/RocketPunchGo. It is up now and available for your viewing pleasure. Things I've learned. Number one, that game is hard. They are not kidding. I showed you like a little bit of it earlier.
I got to see Cam die multiple times.
Yeah, no, funny enough, I think somebody brought it up in stream, but on the second island, there is this pool that you can walk up to, and it does tell you how many times you've died in the game. 98.
Okay. So what you're telling me is this is 1930s Dark Souls.
1930s Dark Souls platformer. Yep, that's exactly what it is. I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect. I guess I kind of forgot that it was a kind of a boss rush mode with different kind of what they call run and gun kind of platforming levels. Number one, the platforming levels are just as hard as the bosses.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that as usually what you see from good developers and events where you have those type of kind of really tough games like Dark Souls and whatnot, there is a way to beat it. You just have to you have to pay attention, you have to focus, and you have to see what, like, pattern recognition, seeing when they're going to go. Like, each of the bosses have different phases that they jump in between. So, like, they'll be doing an attack for maybe a little bit, but when they get to, like, 80% health, they're going to switch up everything and start throwing more stuff at you. The run and gun stuff, you would think it'd be easy, but it is very difficult there, and there is a pattern that you have to watch out for as well. I remember there was like you're going in a tree, and there's this woodpecker and these little ladybugs rolling at you, and if you pay attention, you can kind of see how and when they're going to bounce. Now, the thing that's very cruel about Cuphead, let me tell you this right now, folks, is that even when you have the pattern recognition, you still have to be prepared, because the bosses, depending on how long you're in there, they will start throwing stuff at you. I think there's something in the game that they're like, oh, he's been on this boss a little while. He's starting to pick up some stuff. Let's actually, this attack on this phase, we're going to make it this instead of this. There was one where I was fighting this genie in the air in my airplane, and the whole time he was throwing these like cat sarcophaguses at me, and they would open up, and these little cat pieces would come at and kind of homing in on me. But then all of a sudden I came in, he opened up his chest, and instead of the sarcophagus, it came like all these like crowns and jewels and treasure chests just started getting thrown out at the screen at me. And this was like maybe attempt 15 or 20 into this match that he decided to do that.
Okay.
And there was one where this airplane would change into these different zodiac forms of zodiac. She was the bull the whole time in the first one, and then all of a sudden she decided she's going to be I think it was like Sagittarius or something with the angel with the bow and arrow. Started shooting me out with that, and I was like, "What the hell? You can't do that! I've already learned the patterns."
No, now you have to learn all the patterns for all the signs of the zodiac. Good luck.
Yeah, no. It doesn't matter. I already killed her, so I don't have to memorize all that stuff. But no, Cuphead is very fun if you're looking for a challenge. 100% get Cuphead. It's a whole lot of fun. I think it's like $20. Yes, $20. If you the presentation, you heard the presentation and the music, it is pulled straight out of like a Steamboat Willie cartoon.
Yeah.
With the art style and everything. I enjoyed it. I know you said like I don't care much for it.
No, I can respect it, but it's not for me. Now, one thing that's cool that I've seen on Reddit is a bunch of guys are playing that with black and white CRTs.
Really?
Yeah, that game.
Huh. That's actually kind of cool.
So that is something to look into. There's some videos out there on it, and I really recommend you look into it. Good luck finding a black and white CRT in today's day and age.
You think we'd ever get to a day where we'd say that? Like, be careful with the CRTs. You can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, it's getting that way now.
Yeah. Soon it'll be like, make sure you find, it's going to be real hard finding those 4K TVs for $200. We got the 16K beamed directly to your eyeballs, so you don't even, every time you look away, you still have the TV in the corner of your eye.
Instead of like some massive 16K TV, I'd rather have a personal headset that I put on that is almost like augmented reality.
But like you're actually there? Like virtual reality?
No, not like VR. I'm talking like, I've got like my Crunchyroll window over here. All right. And then we're having this conversation and everything, but I'm still watching Dragon Ball Super at the same time.
Look, what we're going to have is the whole Minority Report scenario where we're doing the whole like throwing it up on the screen and it's on the walls and we can do the whole, I don't know.
You do know that people have already made that happen, right?
I know. Look, as soon as that movie came out, everybody was like, there's a goal. We got to get to it.
No, I'm saying like people have already made that happen with different projectors.
Oh yeah. No, I saw the iPhone rumors where they had the keyboard that beamed down and you could type on it.
I'm not talking about rumors. I'm talking like it's a Linux interface.
No.
It's legit. When you guys get a chance, look up Linux Minority Report. There's a video of people doing this with like 4 or 5 projectors with that kind of interface, and it's cool as hell.
Well, soon we're going to have a pre-crime unit, and everything's going to be great, just like in the movie. The other, moving on from Cuphead, other game I've played, I had a free game night for Redbox, and so I decided to play. I have it on my sheet here. Everybody's Golf.
Okay.
So, for people who don't know, Everybody's Golf is basically your golfing game. Surprise! If you've played Hot Shots Golf in the past, this is basically the same game. It is. I think it's just like the next iteration, but it was always called Everybody's Golf in Japan. Now it is Everybody's Golf everywhere. I really had a lot of fun. I've missed a good golfing game. I think the last really big golfing game I played with that I can remember of, other than Hot Shots Golf, played a lot of Mario Golf, which is more or less the same thing.
Yeah.
I will definitely, like, the controls are very easy to use. This may be because it's a Japanese game. There are a whole lot of menus on the screen, like trying to get you to do this and do what, and everything like that. But it was super, super cool getting a chance to kind of swing, and the mechanics and stuff as far as picking up and playing a game were very easy. A lot more customization than in the games past. You can like basically create your own character, have accessories and stuff, and you go around playing golf. I did a tournament with like a 9-hole out style thing, and it's the first match, so I crushed everyone there. But that was after like 10 matches of practicing and understanding like when to hit X on the meter so you can hit it straight and hit it far and things like that. But no, very fun, very cool golf game. I liked golf games too. I don't know if this one does it, but it was cool back in the day because you didn't necessarily have to have multiple controllers and systems. You could say multiplayer, 2, 3, 4 players, and you just would take turns handing each other the controller.
Okay.
Did you ever play golf games like that back in the day?
I mean, I played Mario Golf. That was really it.
I mean, if you've played Mario Golf, you've basically got exactly what that's. You know exactly what that is. There, but no, had a lot of fun with Everybody's Golf. Had a lot of fun with it.
Now, chat, I don't know about this golf story. Not really for me. It's a golf game.
It is now okay. They bring up Golf Story in chat. Golf Story it's an RPG about golf. That's exactly it. It's not a golf game. It's a RPG about golf.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'll play Stardew Valley.
You see, he's got his 16-bit
RPG right now.
RPG sim game.
It's all about trying to find your waifu and make as much money as possible.
So life, basically.
Yeah. Except this time you're planting like seeds and growing plants instead of let me go to work, hop in the car.
Yeah. We all know that hullabaloo. But do you know what else is life? The Rocket Punch cast, which is what this is. Exactly, love and life. This, as always, this is the Rocket Punch cast. If you didn't know, where groups of friends join this table each and every week to talk about video games into microphones. As always, you can always check out all the content we do, podcasts, videos, streams, everything over at rocketpunchgo.com. We always record and stream each episode of the Rocket Punch cast live over on twitch.tv/rocketpunch live every Sunday at 7 p.m. But if you can't catch the video, that is totally okay. We bring it to you in audio format on every Tuesday on podcast services all over the place. YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, other services we didn't submit to, but somehow are on there. Sure, we'll run with that.
Yeah, because they pull the iTunes server feeds and be like, oh, just give me that.
Exactly. If you are joining us in chat and you have questions, comments for us at all, definitely join in chat. If you're watching live as we record this, at the end of the show, we'll answer any questions that pop up in chat. Go grab them back and get those taken care of. If you are loving the show, loving the content, loving what we do, you want to help support Rocket Punch, you can always swing over to patreon.com/rocketpunch and help support us, keep the lights on, as we like to say, for as little as $1. It's easy, and you get awesome, cool stuff as for being a patron and helping us, like exclusive stuff, exclusive swag, all sorts of cool stuff.
Exclusive.
New stuff that's coming up for everybody who's interested in the Rocket Punch stuff. We've got Halloween 2, Return of Halloween.
Yes.
Be ready for that. That is October 23rd through the 27th. We will be having a lot of Halloween-themed stuff during that week. We'll also have, at least the way it's planned right now, there will be a lot of games being streamed that week. Maybe some giveaways.
Ooh.
Maybe, if you're really good, a little trick-or-treat thing going on there.
I mean, we do have an Excel spreadsheet we've been building of games to give away.
We have, but we're definitely planning that. So definitely tune in that week, the 23rd through the 27th for Halloween 2. We'll have a lot of fun with that, and we hope you guys will join us for it. By the time this goes live for audio listeners on Tuesday, we will have the community events page updated over at rocketpunchgo.com. That way, everybody will be in the know about what cool new community events are going around in Huntsville and the North Alabama and kind of Southeast area. So that way you can definitely pick which ones you want to go to, which ones you might think about going to. Also, coming up this week, if you are a fan of games and a fan of pinball, be on the lookout. This upcoming Friday, we will have the creator spotlight for Pinball Undesirables, a cool little pinball Twitch streamers. We met him locally, came down. We were recording that before we did this episode here, so a really good episode. I'm really excited to release that. That'll be this Friday, October the 13th.
And I think it's our longest one yet.
It is our longest one. It's almost an hour, but it's great conversations, great talks. So definitely be ready to check that out. And as always, if you did not know, you get confused, we're throwing all this stuff at you at once, you're like, oh my goodness. You can look at our weekly schedule. If you go over to rocketpunchgo.com, on the main page, they have a weekly schedule. You can always see all the content, the main bullet points that we will be releasing each and every week. We keep that updated every Sunday, so you'll be able to know the podcast, the streams, and everything that's going live that week, so you're not going to miss a beat of Rocket Punch stuff. Definitely something to check out. Keep in your mind. So, we did our plugs here. Now it's one of our favorite sections, the Patreon section. We take this time, if you are a certain tier on our Patreon over at patreon.com/rocketpunch, We do weekly shout outs. Of course, he's already in the chat here. We definitely want to give the shout out to Chris Scott over at Credible Threat Gaming. They're YouTubers and Twitch streamers that are basically streaming games left and right every week. You can catch them Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Chris might be on there depending on if he gets free from work.
And didn't the Credible Threat B team didn't they just get the chicken dinner in PUBG?
They did. Confirm this. Did they get the chicken dinner? I want to know this because I need to send Ben some congrats if they did. But no, we great guy, great streams. They play a lot of PUBG. I think they played Sims the other night.
They were playing some Rocket League the other night too.
Yeah, I heard that was a lot of fun. I missed the Rocket League part, but I got the PUBG part. So if you're definitely a fan of video games and streaming, definitely swing over to their Twitch page. Or actually, just go to their website, credibleThreatGaming.com. That'll take you right to where you need to go to get all their information.
And Chris has confirmed they did get their chicken dinner.
Oh man, I missed it. Congrats to Credible Threat for getting that chicken dinner. That sweet, sweet chicken dinner.
Ben and Hurricane Bomber.
There you go. All right. But other than that, upcoming events for our patrons as well. You should be getting a bonus episode this week. I believe because of time constraints and kind of shifting schedules around, this week will be the Tank and Spank bonus episode for the month of October. So definitely stay tuned for that this week. Don't miss it. It'll be a lot of fun there. But without further ado, it's time for topics of the show.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. What is it? It's not it's not bad, but
I'm kidding.
We always have the fun, insightful, crazy conversations in here. This one we're going to talk about now. We've talked about loot boxes in a couple of months back in a previous episode of the Rocket Punch cast. This is going to maybe encompass a little bit of that, but go a little bit further and a little bit broader because I think that there have been a lot of buzzings in the media about this type of stuff, and it's microtransactions. First topic of the show is microtransactions and you. And we're going to talk about microtransactions as they are right now, what's been going on, to kind of bring everybody up to speed. This talk has always been there, but I feel like it's been getting louder and louder. There was the whole thing with Middle-earth: Shadow of War.
Yep.
Where for people who don't know, one of the developers on that team passed away a couple of months back. The developers decided in his honor, they made him basically one of the orcs you can recruit in the game. Originally the plan was to have this DLC pack that you would pay for $5, but Warner Brothers Interactive, the publishers, came out and said, okay, well, it's $5. A portion of that money is going to go to the families. They never said what the other portion was going to go to, and they would only give that portion to the families if you bought it within a certain region. There was a lot of confusion around this. There was back and forth. It felt kind of scummy. People didn't know what was going on. But some good news this past week. I guess, my opinion, good news. Warner Brothers did come out and they did say that they were going to, basically that DLC is completely free now. It will be free download for everybody who gets the game. And they're going to just donate an undisclosed sum to the family for helping out and, being the family of the gentleman who did pass away from cancer there. But that's just, the tip of the iceberg there. There have been huge talks about the people having problems with the microtransactions in Forza Motorsport 7, which just got released. There were some issues with their VIP membership to where before it was unlimited races, you got double credits. Now it's basically like 25 races. After that, it goes away. Destiny 2, some people have kind of grumbled about the Eververse Trading Company and some of the exotic stuff that pops up from there, and the whole shader debacle.
Yeah, but hang on the Destiny one, none of that is game impacting at all. The exotics that pop up there are like ships and speeder bikes. They don't go any faster.
Well,
it's just aesthetics.
Well, the big claim were shaders because of how they changed the shader.
So a shader doesn't impact gameplay. It just makes you look better.
Well,
and guess what? Those shaders can drop in the game. I'm sorry. This is slightly annoying to me.
Ooh, this is good. Let the hate flow through you. And then even I've even got some pictures over here. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is coming up. People have played the beta this past weekend. Loot boxes were in there. You have Shadow of War, like we said. Aside from that controversy earlier, the reviews for Shadow of War just got released. There were talks of some reviewers were saying that it's almost impossible to finish some of the in-game stuff unless you buy loot boxes. There were Assassin's Creed Origins, which comes out the end of the month, has loot boxes and stuff where you can get new weapons and stuff that affect gameplay. NBA Live 2K18 has been slammed in reviews because of the way they've been using microtransactions and loot boxes and things like that. The stories go on and on and on, but I had Nibelian over on Twitter. He puts up a tweet with all these pictures and said, "Dear video games, y'all got to stop. Y'all got to start thinking outside the box."
It's nothing but pictures of loot boxes.
And from 4 different games that are coming out within the next month. And it basically, hearing all this in the news, I know we've talked about it before in a smaller aspect, but I figured let's talk about microtransactions in video games. And what do we think?
All right. First, I want to respond to Chris on here. So it's still a free feature as far as shaders go. They drop in the game at random. What you can do is you can spend stuff which you get from not a luminous engram, but a bright engram.
Is it bright? Yes. Bright.
Yeah, and it gives you some dust, and you can every time you level up, you get one for free, and you can spend that to buy certain shaders you want, or these will drop in the game. It's not any different as far as that goes, other than it affects one item and then it's consumed. So I'm sorry, man, that doesn't seem shady to me. It's if you want specific things, yeah, or you know what? Total transparency, you haven't played Destiny 2 yet. I've got 40 plus copies of 3 different types of shaders that are just sitting there that I haven't used yet. And I want to use them, but I'm waiting for raid gear. And shaders, by the time I'm done with an area, I have so many damn shaders that I really don't care.
It's with Destiny 2, just picking on that particular game in a second, it depends. Like, I could see, because before it was just like you put it in place, it changes your entire outfit and it's permanent. And I could kind of see, the developers have come out and said that they made these changes to encourage gameplay. So you would go out and play more and play more. I'm at the same point as you. Like, I have a ton of shaders, different types of shaders, but I've got some high level gear and I'm started to use those sparingly, and I don't even change all my gear. But
well, hang on. Again, to be fair here, Chris, I'm talking specifically about Destiny, and none of that is behind a paywall. Like, that stuff there, it can drop in the game, and you get one of those engrams that you can pay for free every time you level up. Yeah. Well, so I don't believe that's being locked behind a paywall.
Let's focus on. Let's talk about these. No. We're having this healthy conversation. Let's talk about microtransactions, kind of where they're at. Like, at least generally overall, what are we feeling about these microtransactions in general?
So, my personal belief is, if a microtransaction does nothing but add cosmetics to a game, like, oh, hey, they look different, or oh, hey, they have something else, but it doesn't make them go faster, it doesn't make their weapon better, it doesn't do anything that would make them better than me because they've spent money on the game, I don't give a flying fuck. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm sorry for folks that don't like the language. I really do not care. If someone wants to spend some money and look different than my character and still be worse as a player, that's fine. Now, I may be the worst player. Who knows? I mean, Nidhogg's proven that I'm not that good at that, but give me some Destiny and that's a different ballgame.
And we're big fans of Destiny here, especially Destiny 2.
But my ultimate thing is I really don't feel like that is an issue for me. So I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Microtransactions, in my opinion, at least for right now in 2017, for actually the last few years, it's become more prevalent. Yeah, I think it's a tightrope.
Yeah.
I will definitely say there are examples out there where people get microtransactions right. Where you have particular games that, okay, all this stuff is cosmetic. It's being locked, you can pay for them if you want to, or if you continue to play the game, you can eventually unlock your loot boxes. You won't get them as fast as if you slap down some cold hard cash, but I think that if people are spending extra money on the game to get these items, these cosmetic stuff, then sure, you paying to get it. You're paying to get an express lane at Disneyland because you don't want to wait 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that may be where the mentality comes from. Examples, at least one example, in my opinion, that I can think of is Overwatch. All the loot boxes are there are purely cosmetic. You get skins, emotes, stuff like that. If you play the game a lot, you will get those boxes. But if you want them quickly, guess what? $5, $10, $20, $30, $40, you can get them extra. I think the reason I say it's a tightrope is because that there have been a lot of bounces back and forth between what developers, I feel like developers are testing the waters and like, ooh, this is good, or ooh, this isn't good. In that if you'll have developers like, at least from what I heard from Forza Motorsport 7, in the Forza Motorsport 6 2 years ago, your VIP membership was, you purchased the VIP membership as part of like a season pass, and you got 100% extra credit on every race you raced forever. Period.
Okay.
Now we're in 2017, bringing the game back. Now the way it is that the VIP membership, you have 5 tokens, or like 5 things that each have 5 uses. So at a maximum, you can use them 25 times, and for those 25 races, you can get 100% additional credit. But after that, it's done. You don't get any more. Now, I will give them credit, in credit for the publisher, the developer, as well as the consumer. Consumers came out as soon as the game was released in outcry over this. Turn 10 Studios has released basically came out saying, we apologize. We will be they're going to basically roll that VIP membership system back to the way it was, where if you have VIP membership, which again, you are paying real money for, 100%, like I don't know the amount, but it's like $10 or $20. You will get 100% extra credit for the entire duration of the game and every time you play it. But they're also throwing in a couple of like limited edition, like very rare cars that if you're a VIP member, you get automatically, and they gave everybody 1 million credits. And I have a friend who plays the game. He bought the game, and 1 million credits will get you a few things, maybe like 1 or 2 cars, like high-end cars. But the fact that they got the credits, they get 4 extra cars in their garage, and they're rolling the VIP system back to what it was. I think that was, the developer saying, okay, they tried. And I think has Credible Threat popped in here, one of the comments, you can't give these publishers an inch in 2017. They're coming in and saying, the consumers came in and said, stop what you're doing right now. I don't like how this feels. Please go back to the way it was before. That's what you're trying to do is almost predatory. You're trying to pull money from us. And like, dude, I haven't dug too deep into it, but NBA 2K18 is getting railed for, most reviewers have basically said that if you're not paying for those, doing microtransactions, then it's very, very hard to even play that game.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. That's one of those things, though, like I was saying, if it's a microtransaction that affects gameplay, I'm not for that. And that shit should be burned to the fucking ground. I'm not about that at all. Now, as far as Forza 7, I've never been, ever since I stopped playing Gran Turismo, was not about the whole, ooh, yes, let's simulate racing. I have to tune every little thing. Give me Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon. Sorry, that's the one where it's an arcade racer, and I'm down.
And what's interesting as well is I would not be surprised if when Forza Horizon 4 comes out next year, that's not going to have some type of microtransaction system put into it as well.
Oh, then...
Now, what that's going to be, don't know. Have no idea. But no, like, just even delving more into this topic, like, why? We've talked about, like, the what and, like, what's going on, all these incidences. Yeah. Why do we think microtransactions are becoming such a big deal now?
Mobile gaming,
okay. Explain.
So, everybody, this is going to go back to Farmville and Zynga when they first
Good
came to iOS.
Farmville and Zynga, man.
So, remember back in the day how you could spend more money to get more stuff to make your stuff grow faster in Farmville?
Yep.
All right. Now, take that idea and how well it did on mobile with in-app purchases and amplify that across an entire console gaming area and then PC gaming space. That's essentially, I believe, they saw how well it worked in mobile. It was like, how can we do that in consoles or in full-size games?
Yeah. And like, you know, regardless of what people want to think in the console gaming space or any gaming space in particular, mobile gaming is huge. Millions upon millions of dollars being made there, whether you play a mobile game or not. Because it's more accessible. Everybody has one of these. You got one, some type of smartphone, whether it's iOS or Android or something to that effect.
It ain't no Windows Phone. They stopped making those.
They did stop making those. But kind of going in, so many people, that's so accessible to them now that it was bound to happen. I think people talked about it when mobile gaming started picking up, that you don't be surprised if some of these ideas bleed over into your favorite console game experience.
Yeah, I mean, well, Activision Blizzard is actually one of the problems with this because they own King, who makes Candy Crush.
Yeah.
And let's be
real.
real.
Is Candy Crush still a thing? Do people
Yeah.
That's why they bought him for an obscene amount of money.
Yeah, because it still prints money. I think Candy Crush, last time I actually heard numbers on it, it was making as much money as World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
So it's obscenely stupid to think that a game like WoW makes the same or similar money to Candy Crush.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Now, one of the reasons I think, and I think we talked about it off mic,
yep,
is just the fact, I think Credible Threat in chat brought it up, the fact that games cost more money now. You know, if we've way back when, I'm sure we remember when games were $50, you know, PS2, Xbox era, I got Kingdom Hearts 2, $50.
I remember Tales of Symphonia on my GameCube being $50.
Yeah, and that was, I remember when that was the de facto price. Going back further, like before that, it was about like 40 to 60. I don't think it was as standardized as it is now.
Yeah, but also like, and we can't really pull the N64 era as far as prices because those prices can range anywhere from 60 to 120, and that was the depending on how much memory and the cartridge was needed.
Cartridge, keyword.
Yes,
cartridge.
Yeah.
See Nintendo Switch for more information. But I think as we've gone, you know, we remember when games were $50. We remember when they bumped up the price to 60 as the de facto standard,
and people lost their minds.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? It's too much money. And then now we're at a point where people have gotten comfortable with that. But I think at this point, I think what publishers, maybe even developers at a point, what they're looking at is that games cost more. We've had games have been $60 since the PS3 Xbox era, so 2007, 2006.
Yeah, right in that time.
So at least a decade, and we've gotten to the point where people aren't. I don't think people aren't willing to sit there and go $70 for that game. No, not a chance. No, you know, games should be cheaper. Da da da. But then, and so publishers and developers are having to look at different scenarios. Like, well, okay, well, how can we get the money to cover these projects in a way that will benefit these people? And of course, microtransactions came to the play because you don't. For people who haven't heard these different terms I'll throw out here, I'll explain them. But microtransactions aren't necessarily, they're not hoping that everybody buys something. What they're looking for are what the industry refers to as whales, quote unquote. Basically, the people, like out of 100%, there's maybe like 1, 2, 3%, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, that they're the ones that are full in, buying this extra stuff. They have disposable incomes. They can buy whatever they want to, and boom, boom, boom. And so they end up helping to pay that game. I think a very clear example of that was the original Destiny when Eververse came out.
Mm-hmm.
And Bungie came out and said, hey, here's the Eververse Trading Company. If you don't want to buy anything in there, you don't have to. It's all cosmetic stuff. But the people that do end up buying stuff in there, they're helping to fund future development and future expansions. And basically that's what they use that money for. And so you didn't have to play those games, but when an expansion came out, all you had to do was buy that expansion, boom, you're ready to go. Yep. Or even just I think some of the like in-game events, like the Sparrow Racing League and other stuff like that.
Don't get me started on that.
But
that's a whole other problem for another day.
But kind of getting to that point there, I think that a part of me really thinks that general average gamer, not necessarily us, but average gamer, doesn't necessarily if they're complaining about microtransactions, don't fully understand how much game development has increased. And I think that there could be an argument made of that could be our fault because we want that next gen experience. Games have to look better, games have to sound better, and so developers and publishers may try and eke out and like we have to get more people to get this game looking better, looking more next gen in 3 years.
No, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't think it's that. I think it's advertising and publishing costs, and I think it's the mix of the Blu-ray and Nintendo tax with the cartridges. Those cost more to manufacture a Blu-ray disc than it did a DVD. Things like that. So, because if I think the math ends up being where like publishers, after they take their cut, advertisers, people who sell it, all that, you end up with $37 going to actual game developer.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where it's like, well, if we get rid of all the stupid hardware stuff and we're not making on cartridge or that takes away the actual manufacturing costs. At that point, throw that away and just go purely digital. I don't know why they're not pushing digital harder. Because then you don't have to worry about it getting to a retailer, so you don't have to pay the retailer cut. You don't have to pay the manufacturing cut. You don't have to pay the shipping cut.
It's
then at that point, it's advertising, publishing, and developer.
The reason for that is because of the retailers and the fact the big one specifically, at least in the United States, is GameStop. Because for the average consumer, GameStop is their place to go and their place to look to see the next amount of games. And when you start pulling out of that, that's when the retailer says, "Okay, we're not going to give you as much face time." No offense to people if you work at GameStop or know GameStop in and out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Sony started making moves towards that case, if you notice and go to GameStop stuff, a lot of the times they will feature Microsoft stuff way more than Sony on their advertisements, on their website, and everything because of exactly because of that. And basically driving the force that, oh, dude, go get an Xbox. And I think that could that happen? Yes. What that has to entail is that all publishers, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, have to be 100% committed to pull out and say we're going digital. Otherwise, if even one or two of those people, the popular people, are in there, then that becomes a problem.
So, I mean, now at this point though, Sony has the bully pulpit, right? They're number one in console sales. They're eclipsing everybody. You can take all the Nintendo sales, all the Xbox sales, and they're still bigger than both of them put together.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's one of those at that point, they could just use their force in the industry saying, yeah, you know what? All games in the PlayStation Store are going to be 10 to 15% cheaper than physical copies. Deal with it.
And what we're walking into is kind of the realm of where PC gaming's at.
Yeah.
With Steam, we have all these games come out, then we have these great deals like a few weeks after they're released. And part of that reason is they can cut those shipping costs. They don't have to ship, package a game, get some art, ship it across wherever.
Well, they still have to get art. They still have to host it on servers that they're already paying for.
Well, yeah, but hosting on a server is way cheaper than printing millions of copies on a Blu-ray disc,
throwing them all on semis and shipping them across the country.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's definitely where that cost is. It would be. There's a lot of factors, especially. I don't want to delve too much in that conversation because there are a lot of factors. There are factors like internet connection. Regardless of where we are at and what people want to say, there are still parts of the country that do not have reliable internet.
I'm one of them, and I'm saying still go digital.
And there are people that rely on those game discs, but they don't get, like, when a new patch comes out, they don't get those new patches. If there's a bug in the game, they more or less have to live with it until they can get to an internet. Like, imagine if I had that Destiny 2 problem with my PS4 Pro and I didn't have internet.
Well, then you're not playing Destiny 2 anyway. It's an online-only game.
Reliable internet, we'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, hey, my 6 meg DSL makes it all right. I just, when a patch happens, I got to start it and then wait.
and wait. But no, I think that's my opinion. People have popped up in chat. And profits have been bigger than ever, I think, because of stuff like, if you're a publisher, microtransactions and things like that. They're becoming more prevalent in games because they're seeing that gives them the extra amount of fundage they need to do some extra stuff in a game, pay for extra advertising, do something like that, something around that game. Now, what that goes to, we don't know. For all we know, that extra money could be going to some corporate bigwig's pocket, and he gets a Christmas bonus every year. We don't know, and they're never going to tell us 100%, because people will be outside of the studio with pitchforks and torches.
Don't they have those publicly mandated shareholder finance calls every quarter?
They do, if you're public, yes. So that's a way you can find out. But with microtransactions, the big thing I want to drive home with this is that microtransactions in itself, I don't necessarily think that they should be viewed as evil, corporate money grubbers or whatnot like that. I think that there is a way to do microtransactions correctly in a way that helps benefit those game devs, gets them the extra money they need to help bring that project to life, while also providing a value to the people that want to purchase it. You talked about it earlier, like I'm generally okay with cosmetic stuff. If it's, make your person look cooler or look different, it's extra stuff that doesn't really, again, keyword, does not impact gameplay. I think those are great ways to utilize microtransactions. When you start walking down into the going to affect gameplay route, there were rumors saying that, I think one reviewer, I think it was from Polygon, in their review talked that they basically said it was almost impossible to finish the end game because all of the legendary, which is the highest tier orcs that you get to recruit, you could only purchase them through the loot boxes. You could not get them through regular games. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I can't confirm or deny that. I haven't heard any other reviews that have said that. But if that's the case, that's scummy.
If that's the case, I'm not going to buy the game.
Yeah, that's coming.
And I was talking about buying that game.
Yeah, and then but that's one review compared to a lot of people. There were, I think, Dan Stapleton from IGN came out and said, "Don't listen to the people. They don't know what they're talking about. I got through in game just fine, without purchasing a single microtransaction, loot box, anything." So it's those varying degrees that kind of help or hurt microtransactions in and of itself. But I think that, at least for me, I think microtransactions, because of funny enough, a few bad apples spoils the bunch.
Yeah.
And I think that the few bad examples that we've seen, especially as of late, have started kind of bringing back that overall negative connotation to microtransactions. Because I think one of the tough questions is like, what do we do with microtransactions? Okay, people don't like microtransactions. They feel predatory and whatnot. So what do we do? Do you go, okay, then to make it easy, we're going to charge $70 for our video games instead of $60. Then you're going to have people saying, I don't want to pay $70 for my, for this game. But then developers say, okay, we're just going to keep games at $60. We're not going to do any extra money. It's just $60, just like it used to be. But then, what if quality of games start to diminish? And the games aren't as great as they used to be. And then we're out there like, this game isn't as great as it was. What happened? You should have waited an extra year or two to develop this game. And the publisher and developers come out and say, we didn't have enough money. And you guys wanted it. And we had to get it out in a timely fashion. We didn't have enough money to pay the extra 50 developers that we needed to do the code and do the art and do the stuff like that. And so it feels almost like a catch-22. Like, what do you do? How do we get out of that paradox? Because I guess, not saying some things have to give, but there has to be some type of compromise.
Also, people need to remember that you don't get a game without business happening. This is a business. They have to show a profit of some sort to continue on.
Yes, they surely do. Surely do.
And a lot of people seem to forget that this is a business. It is an industry, and whether you like it or not, whether you like the games or not, if you want to keep getting the games you like, they have to turn a profit.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to like turn a profit, but
I mean, they need to show a reason to continue making.
I mean, you're right. You're exactly right, and we have to come up with that compromise. Whether that's $70 for games now, whether that's microtransactions, but we need to kind of the path we're on right now. Like, we're cool with microtransactions, but we're going to tell you what's right and what's not right, and you need to follow that trail to follow where you're going to go, because I think there's not, again, without a question, like I said earlier, games are more expensive to make than ever.
And here's the thing, if you're going with an older style like Stardew Valley, it's not that the game is more expensive than ever to make. It just took so long for one person to make. He's only charging $15.
And that, you talk about Stardew Valley, he had no income. He was at home. His girlfriend was supporting him
for a while, yeah.
While he was making that game. If it's complete craziness to, at least in my mind, in my opinion, to sit there and this goes to a huge topic that I don't know if we've had. One day we will definitely have, about just gamers as a whole and how I feel like sometimes we are a little selfish.
Oh no, we're not a little selfish. Gamers are selfish people.
And just saying that, like, we want these premier experiences like Anthem, like Horizon Zero Dawn, like Legend of Zelda, but in 2017 those are gonna cost more to make. But okay, we want those experiences, but we don't want to pay for them, quote unquote. But so you have to ask, what do I do? Okay, does that mean that Breath of the Wild is not going to take 5 years anymore? It's going to take 8 years or 9 years because they have to stretch that dollar a little bit further and get more stuff. Does that mean we have to do microtransactions? Does that mean we have to pay more for games and things like that? There's a cost somewhere, whether that's money, whether that's time, something. There is a price to pay. And all that being said, is that we have to continue to be open. And I think, especially with microtransactions, we have to be vigilant. We have to be there when we start seeing people kind of lean towards the wrong side of that wire, that line, that we have to be there to say, no, you need to stop right now. People did it with Forza. People did it with a lot of other games. Forza is the most recent one that I can think of. But
hopefully they do it with NBA 2K18 then.
I think they have. I don't think sales. Yeah. We'll see at the end of the month, but I don't think sales of that have been too great.
And just to address this question, it's Damoon. Yes, we are live.
We're live. Woo!
Brought to you from Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh yeah, but it's just. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't have a problem with microtransactions. They just have to be done right. When you're basically telling people, hey, you bought this game for X amount of money. If you spend a couple of extra bucks, $20, we'll give you the Sword of 1,000 Truths that will wreck all of your people in your game. And we'll go and do whatever, you want. And, you can kill people and get through the game quicker. You could take it in multiplayer, and you can vanquish your foes even faster than before. I think that's scummy. I can't remember what game it was off the top of my head that somebody said that it felt like you had to pay extra money to get the quote true ending of the game, end quote. Then in order to get that, you had to pay the $20 season pass. You scummy when you say your season pass is $50, but you don't tell anybody what's in the season pass and say, hey, buy it. Wink, wink. Arkham Knight. Then
don't start talking about Warner Brothers and that hot trash experience on PC.
But that's scummy. But I think that the shader thing, I think, is up for debate. I think more than anything, I would tell people for Destiny 2, Credible Threat, you're listening as well, everybody else listening, for Destiny 2, play the game first. If you play the game, you can then determine when you get to end game, okay, I'm okay, I have a lot of shaders, or no, I really want the old system back, and voice your opinion. But I think Bungie's one of the few developers that listens very intently to their community and has garnered a lot of success for that.
Yeah, and here's the beauty. If you don't like it, blow Deej and Cosmo up on Twitter. I guarantee you they're the community managers, and they may not respond right away, but they do listen, and the Destiny subreddit does get a lot
CD
of traffic.
Projekt Red, the way they handled DLC and microtransactions, I mean, there basically weren't any. You got a bunch of DLC stuff for free.
Yep.
And they told you straight up, there's going to be 2 expansions. One's going to be X amount of time. The other one's going to be X amount of time. They're going to cost money because we think they're full-featured enough. And like, I mean, this is a horrible example, but CD Projekt Red, their expansions were getting Game of the Year awards.
Well, didn't one of their expansions add an extra 30 hours to the game?
Yeah. One was 30, I think one was 20.
Yeah, to a game that's already stupid long.
Yeah. I mean, I guess wrapping up the microtransactions conversation, I think microtransactions, at least for right now, whether you want to call them a necessary evil or necessary, it's up to you. I think they're necessary just to help with game developers and publishers cover costs and a lot of stuff so they can get bigger teams, so they can make the games better and make them faster for us, so we're not waiting 5, 6, 7 years. We're waiting 3, 4, 5 years to get those games. But I think where the problem is that probably with the publishers, they have to be reasonable. You can't create these microtransactions that somebody can pay the $60 for the game plus an extra $20, $30 and get some game-breaking item or weapon or anything that they can go into multiplayer and other parts of the game and completely boot everybody else that already just paid $60 for the base game, and now you're kind of forcing them to purchase that game in order to enjoy it. Like, imagine if you could get this awesome power-up for League of Legends for an extra $10, and it would one-shot enemies in your matches you play.
First off, that game
not going to go well.
Stop functioning.
Yeah, it's not going to go well. But I mean, any wrap up, any final thoughts on microtransactions and the conversation at hand?
Yeah, if they're done right, I don't have an issue with it as long as there's nothing that affects actual gameplay. If it just makes you shinier, I really don't care.
Yeah, I think because it's cooler when you see, oh, dude, where'd you get that helm from? You know, we're going to a raid in World of Warcraft. Oh, you know, I spent $5 at the Blizzard store to get this cool little crown, ice crown, Arthas thing. Like, okay, that's really, really cool. I might consider getting that. And then you said, you know what? I don't really need that.
Yeah, well,
I don't have the money.
Blizzard has an interesting system there. It's called transmog. Yeah. So you can have this little skin and you just apply it to whatever piece of gear you got. That's totally different than saying, ooh, I'm going to go get the helmet of 1,000 truths. And now I can read everyone's mind. I can see their attack patterns.
But I would like, more than anything, for everybody watching us on Twitch or for listeners listening to our podcast, what do you guys think about microtransactions? How do you feel about them? If you don't agree with them, what alternatives are there? I think that's the big question. If you don't like microtransactions, what alternatives are there that we could suggest to developers to do to maybe avoid the potential pitfalls of microtransactions? Let us know. If you're watching via Twitch, you can let us know in the chat. If you're listening via audio, let us know at Rocket Punch Go. You can tweet us at it. I'm curious to know what people think about this particular topic. But let's jump into the next topic here. Definitely not as serious. Well, maybe a little bit serious. We're going to talk about a genre of games. We're going to figure out what the hell's going on with them right now. We're talking about fighting games. And this is brought up. You actually brought this awesome topic up, Will, from kind of Game Informer.
Yeah, I was browsing Game Informer's site, and they have an entire hub set up now for stuff about Dragon Ball FighterZ. So, I don't know. If you've never seen this before, I really need to get some kind of like Capsule Corp logo or something on my MacBook.
You don't have one already?
No, it's on the car. Yeah. Okay. So I'm a huge Dragon Ball nerd. I've been following super intently. It's very bad. Anyway, ultimately, the little kid inside of me, when I saw Dragon Ball Z fighting game, I'm like, Sold. First off, yes, sold. Second of all, it's taking the Marvel versus Capcom, the old Marvel versus Capcom idea of 3v3, and where you can switch fighters like at random based off of that. So I'm all about that system, and I don't know if there's any game right now in the fighting game community that's more hyped than this. Even Pinball Undesirables, a guy that likes pinball, is hyped for this game.
Man, when they released that trailer at the Microsoft press conference, I was like, holy crap, it's time. Our time has come.
The 90s kids will now own the fighting game scene. It's no longer going to be BlazBlue and all this other stuff. Oh, wait, it's made by the same guys. So, yeah, no, it's one of those that I'm all about. But there's some other games and franchises that are having problems.
Exactly. And kind of piggybacking off of that, you think when they announced that was maybe a few weeks after Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was announced. And people were like, oh, this is cool. It's coming back. We got these new characters. But then I feel like when Dragon Ball FighterZ came out and was announced, nobody basically was like, oh, Marvel vs. Capcom, you're dead. It's over. Go ahead and
you're dead to me.
Wrap that up right now. And now Infinite is out. It has the things that I've heard about that game were basically the gameplay is very, very good. Very, very fun, very great. The presentation, not so much.
Well, I mean, the presentation for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the one that was on the PS3 and now PS4, and in arcades and everything, I wasn't a huge fan of that presentation either. It was a slow interface, took it a minute to load, it was turning pages on a comic book kind of deal, which, I mean, is a cool idea, but it wasn't implemented very well.
And it just bringing in, like, what's going on with fighting games? And this, we're talking about, being very honest, like a very niche audience from what we're seeing and what we've seen as far as trending goes the last little bit. Like, but these games still exist. I mean, they're, at least recently, we got the huge cover story for Game Informer for Dragon Ball FighterZ. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out to middling reviews, average reviews. Street Fighter V is coming out with an arcade edition next year, which hearing what their content is, most people have already said, okay, this is actually the game. This is the real 100% full game that we were supposed to get 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, and even then that came out with an online only, or no, a tournament mode only, essentially.
Yep. Now you get your arcade mode, you can play single player and go through the ranks and ladders and all that other good stuff.
First off, can we just talk a minute about how it's taken essentially Street Fighter V like 5 years to come out properly? Like, because we had like the average development time, which is around 3 years for a AAA game. Then we had that come out and it was hot garbage. And now 2 years later, after they've been releasing the game and patching and all this stuff, we're finally going to get the actual real game. How many times are we going to have to beta test a damn game for $50 to $60 for it to then finally come out in a full and proper version?
I mean,
Destiny 1 could technically be called a 4-year beta.
Let's ask Bungie and the Destiny 1 team. But with fighting games, I just don't know. I remember growing up, it felt like everyone, like one of the first games for a little taste, one of the first games that I ever played was this game right here, Street Fighter 2. For the kids out there that are watching that don't know what this is a floppy disk, kids.
No, they're like, no, they're thinking, how did he get a save icon in real life?
There are 5 of these on a disc. But like Street Fighter 2, I remember when the original Mortal Kombat came out, it had 8 characters.
Yeah.
And playing through that, but like, it doesn't, fighting games back then and fighting games right now don't feel as, in my opinion, as welcoming, as inviting as they used to be. Like when Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and all those games came out, like, oh dude, I'm playing this game. You always had those people that the tournament fighters that could do all this, had the joystick pad and were doing some crazy stuff with the fingers that I couldn't see, and they were winning tournaments left and right. But casual right. Fighting game fans could still pick the game up and play and enjoy the game.
Us?
Yeah, exactly. We got to a point where they had a lot of games of recent years had simple controls.
Yeah.
Where you get, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 You could choose like regular, or you choose simple controls, where you could do one button press, and it did like a lot of movements based on one button press, which made it a lot easier for fans like us to pick those up. And like, but now it really doesn't feel like that. Like, where's that going? Because you have Street Fighter V, which still feels kind of like I liked 4, but 5 still feels kind of out of reach. Like only the hardest core of fighting game fans are playing. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I like the Marvel vs. Capcom series, but I haven't, granted for reviews, I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm still waiting to see what, at least from the casual person, I haven't seen casual fans talk about this game as much. Oh yeah, it's really great to pick up. One of the bright lights that I've seen, what is the game? I just had it in my head. I can't remember it. I'll bring it up in a second here. BlazBlue.
Yeah.
Now, like, if you're not even in the fighting game community, you probably have no idea what that game or possibly Guilty Gear is. But you'll probably know those games now that we have Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is from System Arcs, the guys that make those games.
Arc System Works.
Arc System Works, okay. Thank you for the correction. But it, and even with that game, it has Dragon Ball skin. I'm going to buy it. There's not a question about that. But as far as like how inviting that game is, I have no idea yet.
I don't either. Now I do know Game Informer does have gameplay on their website, so you can go and check that out if you want. I mean, it's an interesting thought to me. I don't know. As far as all of that goes, to Credible Threats comment, Street Fighter 2 DOS was his first fighting game. Mine was Street Fighter 2 on an arcade cabinet.
Good old arcade cabinet.
Hey man, it was a pizza shop, and they had a broken Street Fighter game that we could literally hit the button, and if we tapped the machine a certain way, it would start playing.
Wow. Yeah, so, like, gotta do the Fonzie move on them. Hey,
it works.
But like, what do you think this is okay? Do fighting games need to continue to serve the niche audience? Do they need to maybe branch out and become more casual if they want to become more viable in the gaming space?
I think long term they need to do more than just have a tournament mode and B, bring back the old story modes. If anything, it gets the casuals in there enough where maybe they can level up to not casual but not pro.
I remember the game I was going to talk about. I think the only game lately I felt that has been somewhat inviting and been somewhat popular, Mortal Kombat. When Mortal Kombat 10 came out, there were still a fervent amount of people that were playing and loving that game, loved it to death, and I think people even still play it. Like, I would pick up and play Mortal Kombat. The controls aren't that crazy, but you could still have a tournament around them, and then if you were a really good player, you could tell very easily, like, okay, this guy knows his Mortal Kombat, but it wasn't so imposing that I couldn't come in. If I spent a little bit of time, I could learn some fatalities. I mean, funny enough, for Mortal Kombat, I could do Mortal Kombat Street Fighter. I can do Ryu's Fireball and the Hurricane Kick.
Tatsumaki something. I can't remember the rest of it.
And then in Mortal Kombat, I can do Liu Kang's Fireball and the Bicycle Kick and the Flying Kick. Every game in the series, I could do it. The controls have stayed the same. They've never changed. But there are some games in some series where controls have become more complicated. There isn't an easy mode. Like, my thoughts on it, like, I think if fighting games want to become more relevant, you want to make more money off of fighting games, I think they have to, whether you feel that's good or bad, I think they have to kind of cater, quote unquote, come down and have some type of mode that makes it more accessible for people who aren't into fighting games.
Now, I haven't tried out the Pokken Tournament DX on the Switch.
I have not.
That's not one we've looked at so far. I know I played the demo on the Wii U, and it was fun, and that was fairly inviting, but it was also a Nintendo game. So, there's that.
Nintendo can only do so much.
ARMS
is actually a really good example with the motion. I have it. I've played it. I love the game.
We both have it.
Yeah. The motion controls are not... If you take a little bit of time and understand, especially with the motion controls, you can play that game. It's very accessible. You're going to be a little tired, but you can still play that game if you learn how to punch and cross to block, and then do both of them at the same time, and you do the little super move.
Funny thing, I've only ever played that game with the Pro Controller.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a crazy man.
No, Pro Controller, it's easy.
I mean, but even that, if you don't like the motion controls, that game gives you a wide variety of different ways to play it.
Yeah, it does. And it's got like a tag team mode, so you and someone else can go through and play it in a story mission kind of deal. One that's not currently out on this generation, but it's on the 3DS and the Wii U? Smash. Super Smash Brothers.
That is one, again, a game by Nintendo, fighting game. And what's funny is that there are fighting game tournament areas where people don't consider that a fighting game.
Or they only consider like Melee the one that's viable for whatever reason because it was on the GameCube.
I don't even know.
And yet there's also entire tournaments where there's nothing but Smash players. So
that's true. Yeah, I think fighting game companies and publishers can't complain that the genre isn't making enough money if they're not trying to find ways to make that more inviting. Now, if fighting games want to stay in that realm of we're catering to the hardest core of hardest core, one that comes to mind for me is Tekken. I feel like Tekken has never been inviting to anybody if you don't know what the hell you're doing, period. That's why I've never been a Tekken fan. But
they're also like 2.5D, where you get 3D characters and like a 2D background almost.
That's true.
So it's a little off-putting as far as the visual aesthetics there.
But I just don't like, if they want to make more money, they have to look. I mean, think about the games that are more inviting. Super Smash Brothers. Millions of dollars. People are fervently waiting for the version for Switch.
For the Switch port, essentially.
Yeah, that's probably what happens. ARMS, over 1 million copies sold, a million copies sold in its first week. That's a brand new IP. But the fact that you have multiple ways to control it, it's very inviting. It's a Nintendo game. You might be sensing a theme here. I think to even some extent, like Mortal Kombat 10, like I said earlier, I think that has a great balance of it's inviting. You have these people grew up on them, so people know. But you also have this path where if you want to learn and master these controls, you can do so. And to some extent, Street Fighter, the genre as a whole, I think 5 had a lot of missteps with just content releases and the fact that, okay, very bare bones when it comes out. It would have been a lot smoother to just say, hey, we're going to wait. We're going to release this later. But I think Pedagogy in chat says, I think having downloadable content has helped ARMS, though. That's also true, even though they really haven't even had that much. Maybe like 2 characters and I think a stage. That's it. What, 2 stages? 2 stages. Street Fighter 5 has a season pass. They've got 8 characters. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has season pass where you get Venom and Black Panther and Sigma and all these other people. And the Monster Hunter. The Monster Hunter is in the game. But
Capcom can talk to me when Monster Hunter World is finally out.
Next year, January.
Yeah.
It'll be a full month. But I think that's my view on fighting games. I think they're doing fine if that's what they want to do. If they want to stay in that niche audience, they want to be in that realm, then they're doing fine. If they're wanting to branch out and grow and become those big powerhouse games like that they were back in the 90s and the early millennium, like Street Fighter, like Mortal Kombat, those are household names in gaming, then I think they have to be open to devoting some development time to say, okay, how can we make this easy for somebody who's never heard about this series or never heard about fighting games in general, never played them, to come in and enjoy this game.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with you there. But yeah, I don't know. Doubling back to Dragon Ball FighterZ, I will say they've at least owned trying to make it look like it's straight out of the anime.
Oh yeah, no, I mean like the attention to detail for that game is beautiful.
Yes. If you can't tell, my hype levels are over 9,000.
Good job.
I can't wait to go even further beyond.
You're saying all the right words for this game.
Yeah, no, we'll see when it finally comes out, but I'm a guaranteed purchase, so.
Most definitely.
I don't know. But speaking back to Street Fighter 2, I bought it on the Switch. It
looks great.
It does look great.
But it's, I think in those particular cases, those are old games that we've grown up and we know how to play.
Oh yeah,
Especially
you can be Street Fighter too. You too, I'm sure. We can sit there, pick up fighters, and just beat the hell out of each other all day because it's like, oh, we know this. We grew up playing this.
Exactly. As opposed to now where it's these games, fighting games haven't been that prevalent lately, and we're walking back into that realm. We're like, this is way too complicated. I've got to spend all this time to learn. I don't have that kind of time.
I don't need to have to go to a wiki to learn how to play a character from your game and then spend 4 hours in a training mode to be able to then master it enough to be able to go online and not die in 3 hits.
I think that, yes, that's a very good point. I totally agree with that. You shouldn't have to do that. But like, you have a training mode, of course, but that's if people want to get better once they've already learned some of the basics.
Agreed.
Like spending time, basically it's I have to play the game before I can play the game. Like, no, there's no fun in that at all. 100%. Chat, people watching on Twitch and listeners, what do you guys think about the state of fighting games going on right now? Are they doing a good job? Are they not doing a good job? Is it something where, are they fine for what they are? Do they need to expand? How could they expand? Let us know in Twitch. You can let us know in chat. If you are listening, you can let us know over at Rocket Punch Go over on Twitter. I'm curious to know what people's thoughts are on that topic as well. But without further ado, that is the end of episode 79 of the Rocket Punch Cast. A little bit longer than we normally do because of awesome technical issues we had at the beginning of the stream.
Yes. Sorry, guys.
We generally fix them. We'll definitely check our equipment later on and make sure everything's hunky-dory for next time. But, I mean, anything else you got to say?
No, I'm good. Thanks for sticking around and watching, and I appreciate the input.
Yeah, most definitely. As always, rocketpunchgo.com, the place you can always go to see all of our content there. But other than that, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in over on twitch.tv/rocketpunchlive. We appreciate everybody listening on podcast services all over the globe. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye.